Hey guys, my name is Juliana and welcome to my channel. So today I want to be looking at why and how search and rescue organizations train their rescue units in such called search and rescue exercises. What are they and what are they good for? Let's get right into it. Okay, so I want to talk to you about how search and rescue organizations train their search and rescue unit. There are different types of training, ranging from onboard trainings where the crew mostly trains on their own, which is for smaller missions, or equipment, which just needs some familiarization. Then you get your medium skill exercises, which are a little bit bigger. Several units from that organization come together to train, and you have some surface and some air units. And to top it all off, you get your full large-scale exercises where across borders, countries come together to train all their units. This may result in as many as 50 units from as many as 10 countries coming together to partake in a exercise. As you can imagine, this is a huge event and takes years at least of planning. So this is an exercise like the Baltic SAREX, which was supposed to take place earlier on in 2022, but it got postponed due to the pandemic until further notice. The dynamic MRCC is another good example of one of these large-scale cross-border exercises, but I think looking into these extremely large exercises would blow this video way out of proportion because there are so many details that I would have to go into. So for this video, I would like to look at the medium scale exercises. Mind you, if I say medium, I still think that they are quite large because this is roughly 100 to 200 people coming together to all train on one mission. So it's quite extensive. How large these exercises will be really depends on each and every country themselves. So there are two main stages, three if they're smart in executing such a search and rescue exercise. So you have your planning stage, you have your execution, and thirdly, you have your feedback. Like any good event, I think you have four main questions, which if answered will give you a general good outline for such a search and rescue exercise. So firstly, you must consider who will participate in this search and rescue exercise. Secondly, where will this exercise take place? Thirdly, when and duration, and fourth, why? What is the objective of the search and rescue exercise? So of course, before you can start inviting all your participants, you need to consider and think about who you do actually want to invite. So of course, your usual invites go out to all the participants, like your search and rescue units, the helicopters, the simulated vessels in distress, along with the mimes who kind of act and pose as a kind of fake crew on board the simulated vessels in distress. But maybe you also want to invite some of the authorities which are out there. So maybe you want to invite some pilots, some customs, or the water police. Working together beyond their own organization will work much more smoothly, having trained together these scenarios before. So let's check out where such a search and rescue exercise could take place. So of course you do need a general geographical area as to where to set up this search and rescue exercise. But considering a place is actually way more difficult than you would imagine, because there's so many things that you need to consider when choosing the right place. So you need to choose a place which has the right infrastructure. You need a place which has enough hotels for the amount of persons you're hosting. You need to have a caterer. You need to have a room in order to have some briefings or debriefings. Maybe you even have some workshops available for your participants. And of course, it's always nice to have a room where all of your participants can get together. But having 100 or 150 persons, that would require quite a large room. So that's one thing to consider. Another point in choosing the location is the difficulty of the actual objectives from that scenario. Because according to the landscape and the geographical area, seabed obstructions, how close you are to shore, you can increase the level of difficulty. So the more difficult you want to make it, the more obstructions you will place. So maybe you have some areas which will fall dry during a low tide, or you just have some seabed obstructions because you have some rocks where ships can't pass. This all makes it really difficult, and because the ships can't get to some of those places which you have actually put in your search area, that is really where the working together phase starts, because that's the moment where the on-scene coordinator needs to really work close together with their helicopters in order to search every piece of this area. So you see, choosing a geographical area actually isn't that easy. The geographical area really depends on which country is hosting such a search and rescue exercise. There's nothing that can be said which would pinpoint the perfect location for such a search and rescue exercise. So once they've actually settled where this will take place, they can then consider when this should take place, because when is quite as crucial as where. Not just because you need to send out your invites to your participants, but also because of the weather. The weather has a great impact in when a scenario can take place. Look at the summer months, for example. In summer, you have a lot of sailors, you have a lot of motor yachts and motorboats which are currently out and about. So probably these search and rescue organizations will want to have their resources for real-life missions, because the amount of dispatches which go in summer tend to be higher than in winter. However, winter isn't perfect either, because you do get really choppy weather in winter times. For a training situation, you do need to consider that there are things may be going wrong or things which are getting out of hand because you've given them a task which they're not usually used to. So we need to give them a chance to actually concentrate on the task and not be confronted with bad weather at the same time. So that leaves you basically with just 2 seasons, which is spring and autumn. As for the duration, this could be anything from 1 day up to really there is no limit. You can't expect every unit to hang around and train forever. Usually they do have some duties that they do need to get back to, so training for weeks probably isn't the best idea. But again, this differs from country to country. This leaves us with the one and only last question. Why? What is the objective of such a search and rescue exercise? Well, obviously the idea of any exercise is to get better. The more participants this exercise will have, the more complex you can start to structure this exercise. Let's think of these exercises as a sort of role play. Within that role play, we can emphasize different variables such as coordination, communication, documentation, medical evacuation, medical treatment, or for searches for persons in water or targets in water, we can focus on search patterns. Within the planning stage, the search and rescue organization must think about which of those objectives and variables they would like to place within that scenario. If it is comfortable for the participants, then of course you can use all of the above, but maybe you want to specify that and only have a few of those variables on which you want to focus on in that particular scenario. So due to this being a role play scenario, of course we are working with mimes. The thing about working with mimes is that they are real people and they will show you their true emotions. Well, true in a sense, how an actor would show you their true emotions on screen. It's like any good actor or how you see things done in movies, they have really good makeup. This makeup can be anything. You can display an open break, you can have some burns of any degree. Basically, they can make you believe anything because they're really good at acting. And once they start acting and performing in their role, which you have previously instructed them in, you will believe them. If you're not careful and if you're not disciplined, then it is really easy to let them distract you from your actual task. Of course, the more variables you take into a scenario, the more complicated it will get. If you have a lot of participants partaking in your scenario, you can force them to divide their attention between two simultaneous actions going on at the same time. So maybe you don't only have injured persons on board, but you also have some persons missing because they have gone overboard because they were in panic, or they have launched a life raft. But have only taken half the crew with them, and of course now they are presumed missing. Are they in the life raft, or have they gone overboard? Where are those persons? So of course you need to divide your resources. So you need some resources, some units, which you will send alongside the vessel to take care of the medical injuries of those persons on board, but you also need to have some resources which you will send into a search pattern. Again, the idea is to get better at something throughout this whole search and rescue exercise. That's the whole point of hosting such an event in the first place. So you do actually need some observers who will actually observe what they see going on each of these vessels and how each and every one of these units is actually performing in their role. These observers can interfere once they see that things are going wrong. But the idea of a search and rescue exercise is to leave room for the participants to make mistakes, and those observers in the end should comment on this, obviously, in the debriefing round. What would be ideal is if there is going to be a debriefing for all units who participated in the end. Why I also said in the beginning that you do need a big room where all of your participants can come together. And this is really important because usually it's really unsatisfying if you only understand half of what was going on because maybe they were busy with other tasks which are just as important, but maybe they just didn't hear everything which was going on. So in a scenario like this, where you have a safe environment, you have a training environment, and you have the opportunity for everyone to come together and discuss this scenario, it's really important that you use that to your advantage. Yeah, and that's basically it. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe to this channel. Do leave a comment and tell me, have you been part of a search and rescue exercise before? Or do you know if your country does host these things? Or maybe you're part of the Baltic SAREX or part of a dynamic MRCC. Please let me know your experience. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video.